Okay, so now we're recording. Okay, this is October 5th, and we're starting the lecture. The first part of the lecture, I'm going to go back to 2.4 and go over how to divide fractions, okay? Because I didn't explain that last time, so that's what we're going to do. So I'm going here, I'm going to go here, I'm going to go back to the 28th, which where we were, and go right to here. I think this is the one I want. I'm sharing, and I'm going to share, and we should be right here. Okay, so get this out of here, make this bigger. Okay, this one page had a lot of stuff on it, just how to multiply and divide fractions. But it's really important to understand the multiplying fractions is the easy part, right? Because all you're doing, like this example up here, if I had 7/8 times 1/2, you just multiply the numerator times the numerator divided by the denominator times the denominator, right? Very simple. But if you're doing dividing, so that's the easy part. And if you have improper fractions, of course, like this case, you want to turn it into a mixed number, you want to turn it into an improper fraction. So then you can go ahead and multiply. That's what we're doing here. We're turning the 3 3/4 into 15/4 by multiplying 3 times 4 is 12 plus 3 is 15/4. Then we're taking this and multiplying it by the 1/3, right? So we've got 15/4 times 1/3. Boom, we get 15/12. Then the last step is to convert it back into a mixed number, dividing the 12 into the 15 to give 1 and 3/12. And in this case, you can reduce it down and divide the numerator by 3, the denominator by 3, and you get 1/4. So the answer to this is 1/4, or 1 1/4. Does that make sense? That's multiplying, okay? Now dividing, if you have something, if I'm divided 1 1/2 by 1 1/5, and I'll go to the whiteboard to do this by 1 1/5. Okay, so stop sharing here. Yeah, it's really important to get this, okay? So you should see my whiteboard now, right? I'm gonna get a new board. Okay. In this particular problem, it was 1 1/2 divided by 1 1/5. Is that right? I wrote this down sloppily. I'll read my own writing here. I think that's what it was. Let me stop sharing quickly and go back and right here and share. Yeah, 1 1/2 divided by 1 1/5. That's right. Okay, so now we go back here and we go back to the paint. Okay, so you see my paint board? So I want to divide this by this. The first thing I want to do is convert both of these to improper fractions. Okay, how do I do that? I take the denominator times 1 plus 1. So it's going to be 1 times 2 plus 1. And that whole thing's going to be divided by 2, right? And so here I've got 1 times 2 is 2, plus 1 is 3, divided by 2. So it's 3/2, right? That's equal to 1 1/2, right? You with me? And I do the same thing with the 1 1/5. It's going to be 1 times 5 plus 1. You take the denominator times the whole number plus the numerator. And I divide it all by the denominator, right? So it looks like that. In this case, it's 1 times 5 is 5, plus 1 is 6, so it's 6/5. Or excuse me, 6/5, right? So now we can write it as, we can say, oh, this is the same thing as 3/2 divided by 6 over 5, right? It's the same thing as this, but I've just put it in terms of improper fractions. Now the rule, okay, so now we're taking this, dividing it by this. So this is on the bottom. The rule is we flip these numbers here. We invert them, and I could show you why that is. It's mathematically, it works. Okay, it's the same thing as this divided by this is the same thing as flipping and multiplying. Well, it's easier to flip and multiply. So we're going to say 3 divided by 2 times 5 over 6. Right? I just flipped, right? Now I'm multiplying. I'll put brackets around this whole thing if that makes sense. When I have these brackets, it means this is multiplying if I don't have anything. If I don't have a plus or anything here, I'm multiplying it. Okay, I can go like that. Okay, and I just flipped the 6 over 5 to make it 5 over 6. Now I can go ahead and multiply. Multiply the numerators. So this becomes 3 times 5. And the denominators, oops, sorry, becomes 2 times 6, which is 12. 6, right? This becomes 15 over 12. Okay, are we with me so far? Now I've got this improper fraction. I need to convert it into a mixed number. How do I do that? What do I have to do with 15 over 12? Anybody, what would I do?
Divide it.
I'm going to divide the 12 into the 15, right? So it looks like this. Again, I can't. Again, I'm just going to use my my mouse hand like that. So 12 into 15, it goes 1, right? 12, and I subtract that, and that's a 3, right? So it's a remainder of 3. Okay, so now it's 1 with a remainder of 3. So it's 1, so the answer becomes 1 and 3 over 12, right? Is that okay? I've just converted this into this. So now we've got 1 and 3 over 12. Well, we don't want to leave it like that. We want to convert the 3/12 into as smallest fraction as we can. We can do that by dividing the 3 and the 12 by 3, right? Because 3 will go into 12. So it becomes, so I'm just looking at the fraction part of it. It becomes 3 divided by 3. If I divide 3 by 3, I have to divide the numerator by 3. By doing this, it doesn't change that fraction at all. I'm dividing the numerator and denominator by 3. But the big difference is now I'm going to say 3 divided by 3 is 1. 12 divided by 3 is 4. So it's 1/4. So now I'm going to rewrite this thing, and I'm going to say, well, this thing is equal to 1 and 1/4. Okay? Does that all make sense? We flipped and we multiply. You got to convert into improper fractions, then flip, then multiply, then go ahead and convert it back into a mixed number, and then have it in the reduced form. In this case, it's 1/4 as opposed to 3/12. Okay, does that make sense? Okay, that's what we're doing here. Okay, that's it. Okay, I'm going to stop sharing that. I don't think there's any that's the basis of dividing fractions, and that's really what we did. Okay. This is just a word problem. Jim has an 8-pound bag of nuts. He wants to fill smaller 1/2 pound bags. So he wants to break it into 1/2 pound bags. How many bags does he have? So it's 8 divided by 1/2. But we know that when we do this, we have to flip this and multiply it. So that's what we did. We flipped the 1/2 to make it 2/1, multiplied it across, and we got 16. Okay, so it's 16 bags. Okay, any questions on that? Just remember, if you're multiplying fractions, you just multiply across. If you're dividing fractions, you have to flip that second fraction and then multiply. Okay, it's just the way it works. Okay, stop sharing that. And we'll go back to this screen one more time. And I want to show you why that works. So, why does it work? Okay, it works because if you had a number A divided by B, or A over B, and this was divided by C over D. Sorry. Let's do that. What's that equal to? Well, again, we have to flip these. Well, why can we flip these? Well, I don't know whether I can show you this without. Here, I'm going to try this. So here's the pro. Okay, let's build it. Just a minute. It's like this: A over B divided by C over D, right? Well, if I take this C over D and if I multiply it by D over C, D over C, it's like multiplying by 1. It doesn't change it at all, but it crosses this, that crosses that out, that crosses that out. And what do you get? You get A over B times D over C, right? It's just like flipping it. I'm just saying that this is how, this proves it, okay? This is how you would prove it. So it works, okay? Questions on that part? I'm just trying to show you how, why you can do it, okay? This allows you to do it. Okay, with that, I'm going to stop sharing. Stop sharing. Okay, so now we're gonna go on to the next section. Okay. Okay. Okay, so can everyone see my screen? It says lesson 5, right? Get this out of here. Okay. And it's converting fractions and decimal equivalents, okay? And here you can certainly use a calculator. And what they're suggesting is that you sort of memorize these, or most of them. You should know that 0.1 is equal to 1 over 10. Or 0.125 is 1/8, 0.2 is 1/5, 0.25 is 1/4, 0.333, and when you have this line over 3, it means that 3 goes on forever. By just putting that line over there, it stops it. You could have put this line right over the first 3, actually. The 3 would go on forever. That's 1/3. This is 3/8, this is 2/5, this is 1/2, 2/3, 5/8, 2/3, just like 1/3, but it's double. Again, you could put that line right over the first 6 if you wanted to. 7/10, 3/4 for 7/5, 4/5, 7/8, and 9/10. You should get to the point where you do know these, okay? You shouldn't have to go ahead and calculate them, but anyway, that's a starting point. But you can certainly take a calculator if you have the fraction, divide the numerator into the denominator into the numerator and get the fraction, right? Okay. Okay, each dose of cough medicine contains 0.25 ounces of medicine. How many ounces of medicine are safe? So it's 48 times 1/4. So, and 4 into 48 is 12, and that's how you get 12 doses, or 12 ounces. Okay, I'm gonna stop sharing that. We'll go on to the next page. Okay. And, sorry, next page is right here. I'm sharing that. Here. Okay. Okay, here's the next page. And just calculator skills. And we talked about the only calculator you need is the this one or something similar to this little, you know, the TI-30X. Okay, I mean it costs $11 for this thing and does everything you need to you have to do in this course for sure. Okay, and does a little more than what you need in this course too. Let me share again. And so they're just showing you how to, you know, how to do that. I mean, how to divide with your calculator. If you don't know how to do this, look at this and, you know, just play around with it a little bit. Does everyone have that calculator or one similar to that? Most of you?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. Any questions on using that calculator? I mean, anything at all that doesn't make sense to you? As far as what I mean, you multiply, divide, take the square root, find the square of a number. That's really all you have to do in this class. It's not going to be any more than that. Anyway, that's what you have to do. Practice. Okay, look at number 3. Sharon you can see my screen, right? I'm on page 251, and we're looking at number 3 here. Sharon is using a calculator to find out how many hours she has spent on a certain job. She divides and her display reads 4.66666. Assume her calculations are correct. How many hours did she spend on the job? Which one of these is the correct one? A, B, C, or D? Anybody want to?
I'm gonna say B for some reason.
B would be the answer because it's 2/3, and 2/3 is equal to 6666666, right?
Yep.
Yeah. B is the answer. What about number 6? A steel rod 3 meters in length is cut into 8 equal pieces. What's the length in meters of each piece? So it's 3 meters. It's cut into 8, so it's going to be 3/8. What's 3/8 as far as a decimal equivalent?
God.
Which one would that be? If you don't know, look at that table on the previous page. Or take your calculator and take 3 and divide by 8. What do you get?
3 divided by 8.
C.
C, right, is 0.375. Okay.
Yep.
Okay, so there's some of this homework on practice 5 you're assigned to do. Yeah, 1, 3, and 5 actually. Okay. Okay, let's stop sharing and we'll go on to the next section. Unless there's any questions on this. Questions on that part?
No.
Okay, we'll go on to the next one. Okay. And that would be here. Sharing, share. Okay, here's the next page. Lesson 6, decimals and fractions on a number line. We should spend a little time on a number line to understand how to use a number line and what it means, okay? First of all, these are all number lines, right? And what we're showing here is, and this first one is 0 through 5. We've got an arrow going both ways. That means it goes to plus infinity. That means it goes to minus infinity. From 0 on this side, you would have -1, -2, -3. It would be a mirror image of this, but only with negative signs, right? Same thing on this. This particular one, it's dividing it into 1. Here, you've just got little space between 0 and 1. Here, you've got a big space and you've got some decimal points inside it, right? And you're just putting like 0.25 would be 1/4 of 1. 0.5 would be half of 1. 0.75 would be 3/4 of a 1. That's why it's good to understand these decimal equivalents into fractions. So then you can look at this and it's easier to relate fractions into a number on a number line that is decimals because you can divide it up easier. I mean, anyway. And here we have fractions, okay? 1/4, 1/2, 3, 1 1/4, 1 1/2. It's just like a tape measure, sort of, okay? Okay, this is just just a different view of it. It's compressed from this. It just shows 1/2 fraction division marks, and this is 1/4 marks, okay? Okay, let's look at the next page. That was 252. Stop sharing that. Share, we're going to 252. 253. Stop. Share. Okay. Come on. Okay, here's some practice problems. Let's look at number 1. What's the value of the point on the number line below? This point right here, can you see that point? What point does that relate to as far as the multiple choice answers here? What do you think?
C.
Be C, it'd be 2/3, right? It has to be 2/3. Okay, what about number 5? Write the decimal values of the points on the number line. So for each of the number lines below, fill in the value of the point using decimals. So, and they should give you enough clues to do this. What would this one be?
4.5. No, wait.
No,
Come
it's,
on.
it's 4.5's right
Yeah, I
here.
just saw that.
4.75's right here.
4.6.
Yeah, but a little more. I think I think this is supposed to be halfway between 4.5 and 4.75, right?
Yeah.
So what's a half of 20, is 0.25. Half of that would be 12.5, right?
Yeah.
So I think it would be 4.625. That's what I would put, right? It's split between that and that, right? I think that's what they're looking for. What about number 6? I mean, I don't know. I'm just looking at these for the first time, so that's my take on it. But here you've got an 8, you've got a 9, you have a 10, and you've got this 2/3 over. So what do you think this one is?
9.333.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. It's 1/3 over, right? That's how you do these. What about number 8? I'm going to go to the whiteboard and do this too a little bit because it's important to get it. Just a minute, 12. What about this one? If this is 11 2/3, this is 12. I have to go back. Go back to 11. See, go to 11, and then put it in perspective, and then go to this would be 11 and a half. That's an interesting one. It's almost like 1 6 2 6 3. So this is like Oh, I don't, this is a hard one because well, it's not a hard one. It's a half of a, excuse me, it's 2/3 of a half. So it's 2/6. So it's 1/6 plus, here's what we're going to do. 11 and a half, 11 and 2/3, 12. So I'm going to stop sharing and we're going to go here and we're going to go to the paint board. Okay, you see my paint board now. You do see it, right?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay. And stop sharing. And the first thing we're going to do is draw a line. Okay. It's supposed to be straight. And then here we'll call this 12. Here we'll call it 11 and a half. Right? And over here we'll call it 11. And we'll put some marks on this thing. Okay, there's 12. There's 11 and a half, and there's 11. And we also know 11 and 2/3. We've got a number right here, right? And we know this is 11 and 2/3. Supposed to be 11 and 2/3 is right there. But our number is right here, right? This is
Yeah, 12 on the side.
right. It's anyway. Again, it's my wrong. It's right there. Okay. It ends up being 2/3 of between 1/2 and 12, right? Right?
Mhm.
Okay. So one way of doing it would be this is 2/3 of 1/2, so it would be like 2/3 times 1/2, which becomes 2/6 or 1/3, right? Two-thirds times one. No, it's not.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's 2/6 is 1/3. So then that adding that on to 1/2 over here, right? But actually it's 2/3. It's 2/3 of this, so it's ends up becoming like 5/3. It's like 2/6 and 3/6. So it ends up being like 3/6 plus 2/6 is equal to 5/6. I don't think I'm explaining this very well, but this point right here is 5/6. It's 11 and 5/6. Okay. But really, what I want you to just understand is the number line, and the fact that you know, someplace in here you have 0. And over here on this part of the number line might be like plus 10. And so the negative would be right over here would be minus 10 like that. And this would be right in the middle. Anything going this way is negative. Anything going this way is positive. In this part here, we're just breaking a 1 between 11 and 12 into fractions, and it ends up being 5/6. Okay. But anyway, but we'll use this number line to actually define how to add and subtract numbers too. If you had like 10 minus 4 could show that on the number line by going like this. You could go from here all the way over to 10, right? And then you a -4, you'd go back here 4 places, right? And so you would end up being at +6, right? That was a 6. That's how you can use a number line like that. Okay. Anyway, I'm going to stop sharing that. Sharing that and share. And look at this thing. Is there anything else in this? Okay, I think we'll just go on to. I'm going to go on to next page. Stop sharing. Share. Share. Okay, so now this is some skills with the a calculator, but I'm not going to use the fraction. We're going to obviously you're adding, subtracting, multiplying, dividing. Know how to do that on the calculator. Forget this part. Forget turning everything into fractions and so forth. To me, it's just one thing you don't need to learn how to do. It doesn't make any sense. If you were actually doing this, if I had this thing on a test and I said reduce 56 over 448, the way we would do this is like this, okay? Boom. And I'm going to show you. So here's the problem. Reduce 56 over 448 into the lowest common fraction to the smallest fraction. Don't use a calculator. I want you to understand how to use math, how to do this. If you have even numbers, you can always divide the numerator and denominator by 2, right? You can always do that. So to factor this thing, I would take the 56 divided by 2. I'll just start out this way. If I divide the top by 2, I can do the same thing with the bottom, right? That's the beauty of math. That's how you keep a balanced expression. You do something to the top, you do the same thing to the bottom, it doesn't change it, okay? So now we got 56 divided by 2. That happens to be 28. And we got 448 divided by 2. That happens to be 224, okay? So now we've got this. Well, again, we still got even numbers, right? So I can always divide the top by 2 and the bottom by 2. I mean, I could go, if I knew, I could probably divide by 4. We could take the top divided by 4 and the bottom divided by 4. And so maybe that would be the things to do in that one. 28 divided by 4.
7.
Again, exactly, it's 7, exactly. 224. So the top is 7. The bottom, 4 into 200 is 50. Again, I'm just using what I call mental math. I'm breaking the 224 into 224. 4 into 200 is 50. 4 into 24 is 6, so it's 56. Right? So now you got 7 over 56. Now, how many times does 7 go into 56? This is where you should know your times tables. By knowing your times tables, it makes this a lot easier, of course. But how many times does 7 go into 56?
8.
7.
8 times.
7. Yeah, 8.
It goes 8 times. I mean, because 8 times 7 is 56, right? So I can take that 7 divided by 7. That becomes my numerator, right? And I can take the denominator, 56, and divide by 7, right? And now we get 1 over 8, right? So now we've reduced this thing down to 1 over 8. We don't need a silly calculator to do that. You just have to know math, just some simple math, right? How to multiply, divide, how to factor. Excuse me. That's why it's imperative to know your times tables, and that's how you're easily able to say, oh, it's 8, because we know that 7 times 8 is 56. Does this all make sense? This is just called factoring. That's all we're doing is factoring, okay? Nothing magic about it or anything. But I don't want you using a calculator to do this. I want you to use your brain and figure it out, okay? That makes sense? Okay?
Yep.
Okay, perfect. So forget the calculator on that part. Stop sharing. And we'll share. And we'll go on to the next page.
Ooh.
Okay. No. Sharing. Share. Okay, next page. It looks like this, yeah. Again, forget this thing up here. Forget that. Okay. But look at the practice stuff, because you use your calculator to do this, because that's what they're asking you to do down here. You know, how to add that up. You can use your calculator. On these fractions, don't use your calculator. Okay. Just convert the fractions into decimals, then use your calculator. But don't use the fraction part on the calculator. Remember on this one, 10 and 1/2 divided by 1/4, what would you do in that one? What do we say when we're dividing by a fraction? Remember, we're going to flip and multiply, right?
Oh, yeah, right.
Right, that's the same thing. Now, I guess, I mean, yeah, I guess you could use your calculator and say, well, 10.5 divided by 0.25 and get the answer, but you could also just go ahead and do it, in my mind, the right way. Flip and multiply. So it's 10 1/2 divided by 1/4, so it'd be simply like this. Okay. Look at the whiteboard. Paint, where are you? Right here. Okay. So that particular one, we said it was 10 and 1/2, 1/2 divided by 1/4, right? So we said to do that, we could go ahead and flip. So we could say, but we want to turn that 10 and 1/2 into a improper fraction. What's 10 and 1/2 into an improper fraction? How do we do that?
Maybe 10.50.
Well, no, what I want to do is turn this into an improper fraction with, in other words, 2 times 10 is 20,
Oh,
right? Plus, so it'd be 10 times 2 plus 1, and that whole thing divided by 2, right? I'm doing it the old way, I guess what I'm doing. And that whole thing divided by 2, and that's going to be equal to 21 over 2, right? So then I'm going to have 21 over 2 times, I'm going to flip and multiply, times 4 over 1, right? So now we've got 21 times 4, which is 44, divided by 2, so it ends up being 22, right? If you use your calculator, you could take the 10.5 divided by 0.25 and get the same answer, right? I'm just trying to use math to do it without a calculator. Does that make sense? You see,
Yes.
everyone see that? Okay. Okay. Stop sharing and go back and look at that page again, see what else is on there. Okay, some of these I've asked you to do. Look at number 10. A state park contains 64 acres. A wildlife preserve makes up 3/8 of the park. How many acres are in the preserve? How would you do that? if you want to use your calculator, you would take the 3/8, convert that into a decimal, right? Or remember what it is. Remember a couple slides back, we had all the decimals in fraction equivalents, and that was one of them. 3/8 ends up being 0.375. So you take the 0.375 times the 64, and what do you think you'd get? Or what do you get? Go, somebody do it on a calculator for me. What's it going to be? It's 0.375 times 64. Anyone get it?
4.
What is it? 24?
Mhm.
Okay, so thank you, Rachel. So the answer is C, right, in that case. Okay, let's stop that. And let's see what we got next. Okay, so now the next page, the next 4 pages are homework. That I've asked you to do every fourth one, or excuse me, every odd one, okay? And all the answers are in the back of the book, so what we're gonna do now, here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna take a break. 10-minute break, we're gonna come back, we're gonna work on some of these even ones here until 9:40 or 9:50. And then I'm gonna give you time to take the quiz, okay? So right now, let's take a break for 10 minutes. So we'll come back at 9:26. Alrighty? Okay, thank you. And I'm going to stop the video recording here. Sharing this. Yeah. Stop recording. Maybe I'll just pause recording. I think I'm gonna... Okay, what we'll do is we'll spend about 15 minutes going over some of these problems, and then I'll have you work on the quiz. If you can download the quiz, if you can, well, it's in Canvas right now, okay? If you can print it out, that's wonderful. But if you can't print it out, just use it on the screen. And that's fine. And just get a piece of paper, a couple pieces of paper, and just put number 1 and just essentially write down the answer, or put, show your work and write down the answer. And then just take a photocopy of it, or just copy it, put it in an email and send it to me. And I'll grade it. And I'll post it in Canvas so you'll know what grade you got, okay? And then on Wednesday, we'll go over it, okay? We'll go over everything so it's clear to everybody. Again, this is just to reinforce, what reinforce the idea of taking tests, getting used to taking tests. I know no one likes tests, so it's not, I think everyone's in the same boat here. So just hang in there, okay? So having said that, let me share then. Okay. So I'm asking you to do all the odd ones, okay? Let's look at number 2. A box of cereal costs $4.69. The package label says the box contains 19 servings. What is the cost of one serving to the nearest cent? So how do you do this? How do you tackle this problem? It's just $4.69 for the whole thing, and there's 19 servings, right? So what will we do in that? I'm going to go to my paint screen here.
When you divide or multiply, I forget.
Well, you're right. You're divide or multiply. It's one of those.
That's funny.
You're exactly right. Here, I'll show you. Yep. Let's show you how you figure out. I mean, it's a good, it's either one or the other. Exactly right. So you got the total cost. It's $4.69, right? 69 cents that's for the box. And you're given the fact that there's 19 servings in the box, right? And you're trying to find what is the cost per serving, right? That's what you're trying to find. So if you're trying to get the cost per serving, this, just by writing it out, this helps you figure out what you're gonna multiply or divide. That's why I'm doing it this way. So it's $4.69. You would take that and, whoops, 16, it's supposed to be 0.69 cents per 19 servings, right? So it looks like this, right? So now that, doesn't this tell you you got to divide, right? You're gonna divide the 19 into 469 to get the cost per serving, right? So somebody on a calculator, figure that out, okay? Please.
I think it's about 25 cents each.
Is it? I don't know. I'm,
Oh, yeah.
what, look at the answers on the, it gives you, it's multiple choice, right? So it gives you,
Oh, I didn't.
it
see
is
it.
about, yeah, it's about 20. Is it exactly 25?
No, it's
Um,
20.2468.
I just
22?
rounded up.
No,
so-
that's okay, okay. So so it looks like that? Is that what you said? I don't know. I haven't done it on a calculator, but
Yeah.
Not 24.
okay. 24. Oh, I see. It's 2468. Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Okay, yeah. And so, yeah, and so round it up, that would be perfectly fine. You would say that's 25 cents, right? But my point is, you know that it's going to be, you're going to be dividing just by looking at the units, right? You've got $1 on this top and the number of servings on the bottom. So that gives you the hint. That tells you that, oh, I'm going to take the 469 divided by 19. Okay. That's how you would look at that problem to know whether you divide or multiply. I mean, it's a good question. That's how you would solve it. Okay. Well, let me stop sharing and go on to a couple more like that. Okay. What about number 6? Gina is paid $8 an hour. $8 per hour. She earned $258 in 1 week. In 1 week. So how many hours did she work? So stop sharing. Share, share, share. So now this particular case we know she gets $8 an hour. You don't, that's what I do with all these problems, just sort of write them out and say, oh, I know it's $8 per hour. I also know she gets $258 per week, right? And say, well, what's the question? They want to know how much per hour or no, how many hours did she work that week to get that amount of money? Well, I know I can take,
32.25 hours.
so yeah, so you just took the total number of hours, right? And you divided it by $8 per hour, right? When you do that, you see that the dollar signs are going to cancel out. This per hour down here is going to flip on top. So it's going to be an hour. So I know that this is the right way to do it by looking at the units. That's why I'm trying to show you that unit of measures is really, really important in solving these little problems like that. Because you start understanding how the units go, you won't make any mistakes. Okay. So you're going to take the 8 into 258. And what did you get? How many?
32.25.
Okay. So that's how many hours she or he worked in that week, right?
Mm-hmm.
Again, I took, and so if you, just so you know, by doing this, I know I can cancel, since that's on the top, that's on the bottom, that dollar sign goes away. The hour's on the bottom, so it's this over 1 over hour, so the hour flips on top, so you end up with hours, okay? That's how you do that. That's how you know that you would take the 258 and divide by 8, because you can cancel out those dollar signs. Okay? That makes sense? Okay? That's what you have to do. Okay. We'll do one more or maybe two more, and then we'll look at the test. Let me go on to the next page here. Okay, next page looks like this. Just out of here, I'm gonna flip it over. Okay, next page is like this. Okay, look at number 10. Jennifer works 3.5 hours each morning. Okay, 3.5 hours per morning. How many routine physicals could she complete in one morning? Oh, wait a minute, we must be looking at this. Oh, yeah, we are. Okay. So we'll look at it. How many routine one morning? So routine physical requires how much? How much time by looking at this table?
1/3 of an hour.
Yeah, a routine physical is a third of an hour, right? So now we've got 3.5 hours, 1/3 of an hour. So how would we do that? Let me share with you. Boom, on top of my math deal again. I wonder if I can just continue on. I'm gonna get a new page here. So we know she works 3.5 hours per morning. Right? And we know that she can do 1/3, one physical in 1/3 hours. So that's what we know, right? So how many physicals can she do? So what are we going to do in this one?
Need to divide, right?
Yeah, sure. You're going to divided by 1/3, right? 1/3 hours.
Yeah.
It's 1/3 hours per physical. Per spell here. Okay, like that. So you're going to take this and divide it by 1/3 hours per physical. Oh shoot, I can't. It won't let me write over. Sorry. So it's going to be
What?
3 1/3. 3 1/3. All divided by 1/3. But we know when we do that, we're going to flip and multiply. So it's going to be 3 1/3 times 3/1, right? Yeah, 3/1. So it looks like that. We need to convert this to a improper fraction. What's 3 1/3 into an improper fraction? You take 3 times the 3 in the bottom.
Can I ask where you're getting the 3 in 1/3
Certainly.
divided by 1/3?
Yeah. Oh,
Would
it's 3. I'm sorry. It's 3 1/2. You're right. Is that what you're getting confused on?
Yeah, I wasn't sure. Yeah.
Yeah. No, good question. I'm just looking at my notes wrong here. No, you're exactly right. It's 3 1/2. So this should be, I can't correct this. It won't let me, I can't go back and correct it without erasing the whole thing. But it's 3 1/2. You're exactly right. We're going to take 3 1/2 and divide it by 1/3, right? That's what we're doing. So we want to convert that 3 1/3 into improper fractions. So it's going to be 3 times 2 plus 1, all divided by 2, right? Yeah, thank you for correcting. If you see something like that, just pipe up right away. So it's 7/2, right? So that's the number of hours. I've just converted it into a fraction, right? Improper fraction. And divided by 1/3. So it's really going to be 7½ hours times 3/1, right? Because I'm just flipping and multiplying, right? So now what's 7/2 times 3/1 is equal to what? You'd multiply the 7 times the 3. And what's 7 times 3?
24?
21. No, 21.
Sorry, 21, yeah.
21. Okay, that's okay. 21, and that's divided by 2. So 21 divided by 2 is equal to
10½.
10½, right? So it's 10½ physicals. You actually can't do a half physical, so I don't know how they work that out, but yeah. Per morning or per day, I guess, right? That's what I am. And so it's 10½ physicals per day. By converting the 3½ into a improper fraction, divided by 1/3, so you flip and multiply. That's how we get 10½, okay? Does that make sense? Questions on that part? No? Okay, let me, I lost my thing here. Stop sharing, so we'll share it one more time. We'll go right to here. That's interesting. So so I guess you would say it's 10. I don't know. How many routine physics did she complete? It would be 10, right?
Yeah.
Because of the half. So it would be 10. Okay, so having said that, we're going to stop that, and I'm gonna pick up the quiz. Okay. So I have it here. Well, here I have it here better. It's right here. Sharing, share. Okay, so now here, oops, that's not. Just a minute. It's 2 pages, so that's right here. Okay. So can you see this? Oh, let me ask you this. How many are able to print it out? Is anyone able to print it out?
I printed it.
Okay, Lucero. So 1 out of 7. Is that right? Anybody else?
I haven't printed it out yet, but I'm definitely gonna try.
Okay, Raisha. I'm just saying if you print it out, obviously it's easier. You're looking at 2 pages. What you can do is you can go into Canvas, pull this thing up, because then you're going to be able to scroll down and see the 2 pages, right? I mean, I can leave it on the board like that. I mean, I can, but I'm just saying you have to look at all the problems. So I'll just go through them really quickly. Rounding, okay, we're rounding these two to the nearest thousandths place. Remember how to find thousands. Then we're rounding this to the hundredths. This is a decimal place, right? Hundredths. I want to know what this number rounded to that nearest hundredths or thousandth place is. Multiply this. I want you to show your work, okay? Pretty simple. Use manual division to solve for this. I want you to throw a little radical sign and how you would solve for that. Find the distance, or actually find the speed in this one. I gave you the formula. In this one, you want to find the the total distance that it travels in 2 days. How many hours are in 2 days? That's what you have to know for that, and then multiply it times the rate. Add these numbers. Make sure to put the decimal in the right, make it a straight column. Write the mixed number as an improper fraction. We went through that. You multiply 3 times 4 plus 2 over 3. Convert this to a mixed number. Convert this to a mixed number. Evaluate and simplify this expression. In other words, put them in terms of improper fractions, add them up, and then put it back into a mixed number where it's evaluated. That's what I want you to do. So you can go ahead and start. If you have any questions, just raise your hand, just speak, and I'll be glad to help you. Okay. When you get it done, it'll probably be a couple pieces of paper. Just take a copy of it and send it to me. Let me know when you're done. Okay. If you could. So you're free to start. Okay. Okay. If you can't find it in Canvas, let me know. It's under week 2. Okay. So just give me a holler if something doesn't make sense.